It is time for Mormonism Semi-Annual General Conference! What's up, my fellow drunken stoolosopher, Stu for Stoolosophy, the drunken philosopher here. That was Cherry AK-47. That's my first time ever trying that strain. I bought it last night. Plus, I'm home after a couple of weeks in the Philippines when I didn't have a single toke or whiff or anything of weed. And so I don't know how my tolerance is. I don't know how Cherry AK-47 is going to affect me. So if I just fall over and fall asleep, I apologize. But hey, it's Mormonism Semi-Annual General Conference right now. They say semi-annual instead of biannual because I guess biannual sounds too much like you're being gay. I don't know. But right now, as I record this, it is the women's session that is run by men. It's opened by men, it's closed by men, and they let a few women speak in between. And the main general conference is coming up next Sunday, next weekend. And in addition to my normal reminder to call on the LDS church leadership to stop going off about how homosexuality... And in addition to my normal reminder to the Mormon church leadership, my reminder to all of you out there to call on them to accept homosexuality and stop saying that it's this naughty bad thing and causing harm, and to stop being a main driving influence for the high rate of youth suicide in the state of Utah, especially amongst the LGBTQ plus community, to simply get up there and say, there's nothing wrong with being gay, because there's not. And naturally, of course, I'd rather that the president of the church get up there and say, you know what? I realized that Mormonism is all a hot load of bullshit and you should all stop believing in it. But that's not going to happen. So instead, I came up with something that might make General Conference a little bit more bearable for everyone out there. And that is to turn it into a drinking game. So get your shot glasses ready. Get your 100 proof out or whatever the strongest stuff is that you have. And write down these phrases. And every time... because I know you're going to watch it, right? You should be watching it. And every time you hear a speaker speak one of these words or phrases, it's time to down that 100 proof. Let's start with something that I have often been accused of, and that is being a modern day core whore. Same-sex attraction. Now hopefully they use that phrase to say that there's nothing wrong with not only being attracted to the same sex, but actually carrying out an intimate, physical, loving relationship with another person of the same sex, because that's who you're attracted to. But as a gambling man, I wouldn't put my money on it. And of course, this is this horrible, terrible, incredible health risk that it was declared a health crisis by Governor Herbert in the state of Utah. Pornography. I love this. I love that the people who claim to speak for God also claim infallibility. Now people will say, no, they're not infallible. And that's why they say things that aren't true sometimes. Except that the leaders themselves, going all the way back to Wilford Woodruff, that the person that holds the position of the president of the church cannot lead you astray. And this has since been said to extend to the rest of the church leadership. And so, any promises of their inability to lead you astray, lest they be immediately removed from their position by God himself. This doesn't happen too often, so maybe you take 2 shots for this one. Any claims of holding supernatural abilities. Now remember, these are never direct claims. They claim to hold the priesthood, and holding the priesthood gives them the ability to call on the power of God, and God is supernatural. But as a priesthood holder, they have the ability to call on those supernatural abilities. I like the ones where they claim to be able to control the weather. Naturally, the claim is always made after the fact. You don't see the boldness that you often did in ancient times, supposedly, according to their holy scriptures. People out in the open calling on the weather to cease, using their priesthood authority, and the weather ceasing right then and there. It's always, oh, the weather worked out, and boy, I seem to remember saying a prayer to have that exact same thing happen. And so I don't expect to see too many claims of supernatural abilities, but we will see. We'll see. There might be a lot of stories about miraculous healings or people being brought back from the dead. They got to throw these out there every once in a while to bolster people's faith in the priesthood, because the more someone uses the priesthood to try and heal somebody, the more they realize that it never heals someone. With everything that we have access to in this modern world, and the ability that we have to instantly communicate things around the world, not a single instance ever of a verified miracle, despite the many claims that float around of miracles happening all around us all the time. And so for faith bolstering reasons, they might throw a few of those out. And finally, just any sexual innuendo of any kind. Many people's favorite is Boyd K. Packer's Little Factory speech. Now, I know you guys have a lot more stuff that you would love to add to your list for your drinking game. Let me know what they are in the comments down below. And until next time, continue to drunkenly philosophy on, my fellow drunken philosophers.